department of Nintendo, and it was published by Nintendo as well in 2002 in the US and the EU. In Japan it was released in 2003 with some added features like extra ending scenes and 3 difficulty settings. This would be the 4th Metroid game in the series and was actually released on the same day as Metroid Prime in the US. Gameplay. Metroid Fusion is a Metroidvania game if you hadn't guessed, but it's more linear than most of the other titles in the series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First off, you start by having all of your powers taken away from you, as always, and the main goal of this game is even to get them back. There's a total of 18 different upgrades for Samus to recover, some of which are recovered by entering data rooms, and some by defeating bosses. During the game you're constantly given objectives and places are being locked off by a computer, meaning there's not that much room to explore. Oftentimes you can clearly see the rooms where you can go for secret parts of the map. This is usually done by placing a bomb in the morph ball, or if you just got a new power you need to use that. Since the general gameplay here relies less on exploring than most other Metroid games because of the linearity, the platforming really must be good. Well, it's kind of good. It's in normal situations like when you're fighting enemies it's fine, but if you're up against some high-speed bosses, the aiming becomes thoroughly annoying, and having the A and B button next to each other doesn't help either. I mean, you have to constantly jump and hold on to these bars by keeping up pressed on the D-pad, and then you also need to aim by holding down again, which makes you drop sometimes, or you need to aim at an angle, which means you have to press the L button up or down depending on where Samus is aiming by default at that location, which is down when hanging or when standing on a ledge, and up when you're standing on the ground. So some of these boss battles are kind of annoying and seem to be beaten easiest by having collected a lot of energy tanks and just shooting at them while standing still. And at one point I even got stuck because I couldn't collect any power bombs from enemies and there were no other ways out of that room. But this is only a minor issue since all save points are spread thick across the game. It was fun to discover secrets and get more powerful along the way, so I think the game succeeded there. And the thing I liked most was how Metroid Fusion played with my expectations of what certain items or locations did. Story! When I started this game I did not expect much in the terms of story, but I was pleasantly surprised to find out that Samus had actual thoughts and the interactions with the computer were also enjoyable. But the beginning. Samus is sent back to SR-388 to protect some scientists. On the planet's surface, she is attacked by a creature, which she dispatches of easily. Out of the creature comes some kind of ooze, which flies onto her. Cut to some time later, and it turns out the only way to save Samus is to inject her with Metroid DNA from the baby one that saved her on an earlier mission. Next thing you know, Samus needs to investigate the Biologic Space Laboratory research station where her infected power suit is being held. This is where you come in and where you get to be told what to do by the AI Adam. It's not a very complex story in the end, but compelling enough to keep me interested for 4 hours, which was in the most part thanks to the fact that I got to read thoughts of the space badass Samus Aran. Sound design. The sound design for this game is pretty great. When you're just walking around, exploring, some atmospheric music plays. Some of it even reminded me of Gex 2's soundtrack. I like Gex 2's soundtrack. During tense moments and cool boss battles, soothing music plays. The sound enemies and bosses make are not memorable, but they do the job just fine. Same goes for Samus' sound effects. Verdict! Metroid Fusion is not the most amazing game I've ever played, and it does not do anything new to my knowledge. But the pace of the game is so high that it was kind of an exploring thrill ride with some good character building and okay story thrown in. If you don't normally like Metroidvania games because you get lost by the number of places you can go, maybe this one's just the thing for you. With clear objectives and not too many options, there's a more linear and changing space station to explore. That's all for this episode, but I hope you check out some of my other videos and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And do as you please.